Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we start the day. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Sayyidina Nabina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum, my sisters in Islam. Welcome today for our new topic on the stories of our beloved Prophet, how he went through such pain and agony when our beloved Prophet was told to bring the deen of Allah, Islam, to the mankind, to the world. How much suffering our beloved Prophet went through. And we got this beloved, this deen of Allah in a plate without any pain, any torture, any enemies, and how we should respect this deen that will take us forward to Jannah. So let's start our topic of today in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. Abu Lahab, the Prophet's uncle, who had freed a slave to celebrate his nephew's birth, became his sworn enemy from the day he heard his nephew call the people to Islam from atop the mountain of Safa. He could not bear this, that a new religion is being introduced. The two sons of Abu Lahab, Utbah and Atiba, had married the Prophet's daughters, Ruqayyah and Kulthum, respectively. Abu Lahab ordered them, both his sons, divorce their wives, threatening never to see them again if they refused. His wife, Jamil, Ardi bint Harb, also asked them to divorce their wives, for they had become disbelievers. Utbah and Atiba, the both sons of Abu Lahab, obeyed their parents and divorced the Prophet's daughters. Jamil, the wife of Abu Lahab, was no less vicious in her enmity. Her nephew, by marriage, was posturing as a messenger. Daring to oppose the gods she held dear to her, she resolved to punish him. She used to scatter prickly bits of wood and glass over the path that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions would pass. When Jamil heard that a short chapter of the Quran, Surah Abu Lahab, had been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which condemned her to hell, for this very act she began searching for him. Armed with a rock, he was sitting near the Kaaba along with Abu Bakr. May Allah be pleased with him. She strode up to Abu Bakr and asked him, "Where has your companion gone? I have come to know that he speaks ill of me. By God, if I find him, I shall hurl the stone at his face." "Look, I am also a poet," she then uttered the following verses and went away. We disobeyed the blameworthy, rejected his call, and renounced his religion with disdain. Abu Bakr, rahmatullah alayh, was amazed that Jamil had not seen the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting right beside him. "O Prophet, did she fail to see you?" said Abu Bakr. He said, "Yes, she could not see me because Allah seized her sight." He said, "Yes, she could not see me because Allah had seized her sight." Meanwhile, the Quraysh invented a new way of abusing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They began calling him names instead of Muhammad, Muhammadun, Muhammadin, different types of names in disrespect, meaning of which is the opposite of his real name. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is one who is highly praised, while the other names is one who is badly condemned. Allah, however, protected the Prophet's honor by revealing that the Quraysh abused one known bad name as Mudhammam, while the Prophet was Muhammad by the name. As has been mentioned earlier, one of the most adamant enemies of the Prophet Muhammad and his followers was Abu Jahl. His actual name was Abu Hakim, which literally means father of wisdom, but his behavior toward the Prophet Muhammad and the early Muslims earned him the title Abu Jahl, father of ignorance. Anyone who abandoned the local pagan religion for Islam was a renegade, and Abu Jahl would take him to task for his treachery. He abused the Prophet Muhammad openly and would attempt to obstruct the Prophets from performing his prayers. One day, Abu Jahl saw the Prophet Muhammad performing his prayers and began harassing and threatening him as he prayed. At last, the Prophet Muhammad caught hold of a piece of cloth around Abu Jahl's neck and, shaking him strongly, quoted these two verses: woe to you again. Woe to you, woe to you. Abu Jahl shot back, Muhammad, you are challenging me? By God, you and your Lord cannot do any harm to me. I am the strongest man in this valley. Eager for revenge, Abu Jahl asked his comrades, does Muhammad put his face on the earth in your presence? Yes, they replied. By Lata and Uzza, Abu Jahl swore, if I ever see him do so, I shall trample his face and neck into the dust. The day came when Abu Jahl saw the Prophet Muhammad performing prayers, so he marched towards him and the intention of carrying out his threat. Suddenly, onlookers saw him retreat before reaching the defenseless, our beloved Prophet Muhammad, his arms clawing at the air. What happened, Abu Hakim? The people asked. A trench of fire and a screen of devastation stood between him and me, and dazed Abu Jahl replied. The Prophet Muhammad remarked to his followers, had he come near to me, the angels would have swooped down upon every limb of his. Uqba bin Abi Muayyad was another one who earned eternal disgrace for his despicable treatment of the Prophet Muhammad. Once the Prophet was praying near the Kaaba, while Abu Jahl and his comrades were sitting nearby. Meanwhile, Abu Jahl asked the others, is there one who will bring the innards of a camel of Banu so and so and place it on Muhammad's back while he is prostrating in prayer? Uqba, anxiously to prove his daring, got up and returned with the intestines of a slaughtered camel. He stayed to the side until he saw the opportunity to catch the Prophet Muhammad in prostration. When the Prophet Muhammad bowed his head to the earth, Uqba laid the camel intestines on the Prophet's neck and shoulders. Abu Jahl and his followers burst into laughter, but the Prophet Muhammad remained in prostration and did not raise his head. Someone informed the Prophet's daughter Fatima, who then came running to the Kaaba. She removed the foul, smelling intestines from her father's back, and he raised his head and prayed to Allah, O Allah, seize the Quraysh. When Abu Jahl and his comrades heard Muhammad's prayer, they felt a very heavy weight on their hearts, because they believed that in Makkah all prayers were granted. The Prophet Muhammad continued to pray aloud in front of his enemies, mentioning each one by name and asking Allah to avenge him. The Quraysh were right about their misgivings regarding the Prophet's prayer for retribution, for Allah soon answered it. In the Battle of Badr, which was the first battle the Muslims fought against the Meccan pagans, each person the Prophet Muhammad mentioned in his prayer fell on the battlefield. It seemed as if the enemies of Islam far outnumbered the followers of the Prophet Muhammad. All the notables were the exception of a discerning, fortunate few like Abu Bakr and Uthman radiallahu anhu used their wealth and power to persecute the Prophet Muhammad. Besides Abu Jahl, the 5 prominent persons who used to ridicule the Prophet Muhammad were Walid bin Mughira, Makhzumi, Aswad bin Abd Yaguth, Zuhri, and Abu Zama Aswad bin Abdul Muttalib, Asadi Harith bin Qais, Qusay as bin Wail, Sahmi. The Prophet did not take revenge even once during the many years he lived in Mecca. After he began his mission, he was content with Allah's promise that he himself would deal with the opponents and detractors. In the end, Muhammad's harshest enemies met the agonizing deaths. Walid bin Mughira was mercilessly scratched by an arrow, and he thought nothing of it. The angel Jibreel, however, pointed towards his face of the scratch, and it became inflamed. The wound plagued Walid for many years until he finally died in pain. Likewise, Jibreel pointed towards the head of Aswad bin Abd Yaguth, and he developed boils on his head that caused his death. Another source states that these boils resulted from sunstroke that Jibreel had afflicted on him. According to yet another narration, Jibreel pointed towards Aswad's belly, and he developed dropsy that caused his belly to swell so much that he died. When Aswad bin Abdul Muttalib became excessive in his persecution of the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet asked Allah to snatch his eyesight and to deprive him of fatherhood. He responds to his supplication. Jibreel was sent to strike his face with a thorny branch so that Aswad lost his eyesight and then struck his son dead. Harith bin Qais, the last of these 5 previously named opponents of the Prophet, met a horrible death. As he lay dying, his stomach filled with yellow fluid, and the contents of his intestines began to flow from his nose. What a terrible torture and punishment from Allah. Can you imagine intestines flowing from his nose? Divine intervention and retribution came to those most active and vocal in their hatred of Islam. But for the most part, the Prophet quietly endured all the hardships, just as prophets before him had done. Looking at his patience and unshakable faith, the believers were heartened during the sufferings in the cause of Allah. Verbal abuse, physical threats continued to the Prophet Muhammad devised ways of defense. He took 2 steps to help secure the fledgling Muslims. My sisters in Islam, when we look back to our Islamic history and the way our Prophet did so much, so struggle, and so pain, agony he went through just to give us this wonderful religion to us. And how can we, in return, do something that is against Islam, that is against our religion, that will hurt our Prophet for all his struggle and pain he went through to deliver this wonderful religion to us. And we got it free without any, going through any pain, going through any, struggle or fighting or anything. We just got it through the books. Then we should think and should be shamed and should be, shamed for if we do anything against Islam to hurt our Prophet's feelings. That is forbidden in our Islam. We should respect our Islam and the teachings of our Prophet, so that when we are in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are able to say that we did how much strength we had to protect our religion and protect our dignity and respect of our Prophet, that he has told us the way, the life of Islam and Muslims should be, should go through their lives. So, my sisters in Islam, this is a very important religion that we should be serious and act upon that way we are told. And if we ponder and study our hadith and look the way of the lives of our Prophet, how he went through so much difficulties, so much pain, just to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the mankind, the world, all everywhere around the world. So my sisters in Islam, inshallah, take care, respect our religion, respect our Prophet. We are going to die one day. This world is not going to we're going to stay here and enjoy the bad, the everywhere around us. You can see that how so much enemies of Islam are around us. So we must be aware and protect ourselves and protect our religion. So until we meet again, my sisters, take care, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel for the latest update videos of mine. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.